question. There's never a dumb question on this show. There's dumb hosts, but there's no dumb question. Dumb question. Have you listed who you really want at each pick and run a few simulations to see where you need to move down or go up to get those players? We have not done that because, really the way I look at it, Solder, it's and you guys may disagree. Let me know. But the mock draft simulators, it doesn't matter what website you use, something unrealistic is going to happen. And really, that's the draft. Like, unrealistic things happen all the time. So I feel like it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're constantly trading up, trading down, trying to get yourself in that perfect position because you don't truly know how the board's going to fall. However, I did approach this question as, to answer one part of it, I guess you could say, is which players do I like the most? This is my list. This is not the guys' list, and I want to get their take at each of the first 3 picks. I thought, all right, here's the guys that I would be like over the moon if we got. Now, obviously, if some fall out of the top 10, those are even better, right? So we'll kind of dive into that list. Let me hit the super chat. Mike Hebring with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, no need to address tonight, but love to know where you fellas would rank the Packers' current roster in the NFL before this draft. We could go around the horn with it real quick before we dive into these prospects. You got an 11-win team.
Yeah.
With the quarterback who was battling 3 injuries, and you were missing your number 1 wide receiver, a good chunk of it, and your number 1 cornerback, a good chunk of it, and you had a first-year defensive coordinator. If you were to just strictly say the current roster, seeing that you won 11 games, I would say it's a top 10 roster. That's the way I look at it, and you're going to have to add some veteran leadership in there if you want to turn the corner, and we did that a little bit this offseason, obviously, with the addition of Aaron Banks and Nate Hobbs. But I would say it's a top 10 roster would be my pick. And when you take into consideration it's one of, if not the youngest teams in the league, that's really impressive as well that you've got a top 10 roster with it still being that young, right? But let's go around the horn with that. Tim, what do you think, man? Where would you rank the Packers' current roster before the draft here?
I would agree with that. At least top 15, top half of the NFL. I think it's probably debatable. That would be Mike's reason for asking, probably because he wanted to hear the debate. But I would say that I think 10 is fair. And I do agree with the sentiment that, maybe, as excited as we are for these draft picks to come in, bringing in 1 or 2 more vets into the fold, both sides of the ball, would be great for this young team to kind of balance that out. Some young talent and some veteran leadership. But I think where it sits right now going into the draft, I think top 10 roster is fair. What do you think, Jacob?
I mean, yeah, the way I look at it is when you look at a team, where are their most poignant players of position? So let's look at quarterback, Jordan Love. I guess that would probably be the argument for most people to decide whether or not we're a top 10 team is what our quarterback dictates. I would argue that Jordan Love, when he is Jordan Love, like we know him, he is for sure a top 10 quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback. So then you look at the running back room. Jacobs, yeah, I think I'll take that. Wide receiver room, there's a little bit of question there, but if they weren't going to, be leading the league in drops, and if they actually do their job, I don't think there's anybody that will look you in the face and tell you that we don't have talented wide receivers in that room. Tight ends, Tucker Kraft is a dog. Tucker Kraft's a dog. The D-line, same kind of thing where it's like if you have the guys that produce it the way they're supposed to, we could make an argument that they're a top whatever team. I mean, literally, were we 8th in defense last year? I believe it was.
Yeah, we were second in run defense.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think 8th in pass defense. Yeah.
So to make a long story short, I mean, yeah, heck yeah, I would basically say that we're a top 10, if not a top 5. If we're firing on all cylinders, we're a top 3. I mean, we need our people our aces in places, as they say. When those guys are, and that's what I think has been the biggest criticism for guys like Kenny Clark, Rashawn, Jordan. When you get the bag, show us why you got the bag, kind of thing. Jair, that'd probably be the biggest criticism of the team is whether or not we can perform like we should be a top 10 team. But I think we are at the very least a top 10 team when our guys are performing.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I hope Jordan Love comes out and just slaps everybody.
Wouldn't that be sweet? Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah, it would, because how soon people forget the second half of that first season as him as the starter. There was not a quarterback better than him. And then lo and behold, you come out week 1 knee injury. And then you get, the other 2 injuries, compounding on it. And it's just like this portion of the fan base was just ready to pounce. Like, oh, see, he's not worth the money. And it's like, boy, y'all were awful damn quiet last year. Now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? And it's a small, loud portion of the fan base, obviously. I just hope he comes out this year and balls out, man. I would absolutely love it. So, all right, let's move on to and thank you for the super chat there, Mike. Appreciate it. It was a great question, man. So let's go to Soder's question here. And again, we can't do this whole, hey, how do we trade up and maneuver to get those picks? But I'm just going to kind of give you guys 4 picks, 4 prospects that are my favorite players at each pick of the first 3 rounds. Okay, so round 1, pick 23, kind of at the top of that list is Kenneth Grant. Now, listen, if Ted McMillan falls, you guys know he's 5th on our board. Obviously, he would trump him. I tried to go with some realistic options of falling to 23 just based off of recent mock drafts. And then also when you get to the 2nd round, I'm trying to go above it and below the pick, 3rd round above it and below the pick. So Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, you see with the PFF grades, 72.7, 80.4, and then last year an 83.7, he's 6'3", 339. I think he would be a good replacement for Kenny if he decide to move on next year. Obviously, we'll see if that indeed happens. Shout out to William Lofton here becoming a member on YouTube. Appreciate you, sir. So what do you guys think? Do you have a top pick like, hey, man, if I could have anybody reasonably at pick 23, who would that prospect be? And then I'll go through the rest of my list here at 23.
Walter freaking Nolan. And if not, Kenneth Grant, like I got in my mock a couple days ago. So what about you, Jacob?
I mean, I guess was the question, what would I want if I had all my druthers and all that kind of stuff, or what do I think is realistic?
Yeah, just, I mean, like, reasonably, like obviously Mason Graham ain't going to be there. Obviously Abdul Carter's not going to be there. But when you look at the players that could potentially drop to 23, who would be that? Hey, that's my guy right there. That's my dude.
Sure. Does it have to be defensive line?
No, it could be anything. It could be punter. It could be a long snapper if you're too old. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, don't get
put that name in my mouth right there.
Exactly. The Kenneth Grant thing, I'm starting to feel like maybe more realistic. The Mason Graham, have you heard, Clay? I've heard multiple podcasts being like Mason Graham is a paper tiger, where people are saying like he is not the player that people think he is, being dictated to be drafted that high, and that maybe Kenneth Grant had more production or more reason for the production of a Mason Graham type thing. And again, we went back and forth with that for the last year. What was it with the big boy from Texas and the other guy too? So do you see any of that maybe creeping through? And if it's me personally, I think I'd be more pumped to have like a Jahdae Barron fall to us, to be honest. Like that'd be one of the more that would lift my brows up to be like, that like we can't pass on this guy. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
It's funny, both of your all's picks, I'm pretty sure, is on my list. Look at my next one here. Number 16, Jahdae Barron, right? 64.3, 77.3, 76.9, 71.5, and then jump to a 90.7. He's versatile. He can play outside. He can play inside. He can kick into the box. Everybody says he's a slot receiver. Okay, bub. All right. He's the same height and weight as Jair Alexander, as a matter of fact. And notice the wide snaps down here, 679 out wide. Right. And I love that he had a combination too of like 264 between the slot and the box as well. So that's a dude that he just screams number 1 corner to be. He really does. And I would be over the moon with him as well. Next is your guy, Tim, Walter Nolan. We got him in the 20 spot. All right. His PFF grade 68.1, 72.5, and then boom, 88.9 this year. Again, I was on Walter Nolan early in the process. Like this, I think this is my dude right here. Like I just loved his tape. I loved watching him play. And then when I heard Greg Cosell say he's the best defensive tackle in this draft, even better than Mason Graham, all right, I'm sold. This is my dude. Now, you probably wonder, well, why'd you have Kenneth Grant higher, Clayton? Kenneth Grant is more of a one tech, right? He'll play 1 in your base, like kind of the nose, but he can kick to 3 in the in your nickel set. Kenneth Grant's just higher on our board, If it came down to it and both of those guys are on the board at the same time and I have to choose between him and Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan, that's a tough decision for me. But when you look at the consistency, it feels like Kenneth Grant was maybe a little more consistent, although Walter Nolan, when you talk consistency, this dude was the number one prospect, prospect coming out of high school. So
I feel like there's a good chance that you wouldn't have to make that decision with these guys, right? That probably one of them's not going to make it to 23.
Exactly. And then the other one is Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver. Now, again, if Ted McMillan is on the board with Emeka Egbuka, give me Ted. Not even close, right? But if Emeka Egbuka is on the board at 23 and those three above him are not on the board, 11 cards, 72.8, 83.1, 72.9, and a 79.5. And again, another guy that people think he's just a slot. Greg Cosell said it 1,000 times this offseason. He can play moving Z. He can line up out wide. He can play in the slot. You're getting a 10-year vet day one. What's always the argument with wide receivers coming to the league? Well, they got to learn the offense. There's going to be a little bit of a delay, this and that. This is the one receiver this year that seems to check that box like, hey, this guy's going to be able to step in day one and contribute to your football team. So Emeka Egbuka is a pro. Really would love to see him. As he obviously had 164 snaps out wide, 548 in the slot. But keep in mind, playing moving Z, he was probably kicked out outside and then shifted, with a little cheat motion inside a good chunk, if not the majority of those snaps. So John Johnson in the chat said Emeka is a precise route running, ball catching fool. Got to take him. I'm with you there, man. I'm with you. Let's see here. Mike Hebring says, I hate Stewart. I think he's talking about Shamar Stewart. Here's the thing. Shamar Stewart is higher than these guys on our board. I'm with you, Mike. I don't hate him. But when I look at Shamar Stewart compared to other prospects, if the Packers take him, I'm okay with it, right? But when you look at the production, it just screams another project, right? And I feel like there's a good chance with the depth of this draft in terms of from 10 to 40, you can get someone who's shown production. This is what Daniel Jeremiah talks about all the time. Are you going to go traits or production? You can't have them both. I love how people, I was in a chat earlier and I heard some guys talking and they were like, yeah, I'm just so tired of, there's the traits guy. There's the traits guy. Yeah, I understand that. You're saying you want traits and production, right? The problem is if you're picking outside of the top 10, it's so rare that you get a guy who's got both traits and production. Abdul Carter, traits and production. He's going to be gone within the top 5 picks, most likely. So you got to kind of pick in that regard. And that's why I don't hate Stewart, but I definitely like these guys over Stewart. Now, if all these guys are gone and Stewart, wherever he's at in the 13th spot or wherever it is on our big board, if he's sitting there, I'm okay with it.
Shamar Stewart is 16 on our board. Yep.
So, yeah. So he's a fascinating prospect this year. There's no two ways about it. William Lofton says, do you guys have that feeling that we're going to trade back? William, I want to say yes, but I think it's just wishful thinking. Like I want them to trade back. So I'm wondering if I'm talking myself into, you know what I mean, Jacob? Like we've talked about it this entire time. Like, hey man, trade back, Goody. Trade back, get multiple picks here in the first 3 rounds. Do you feel like Goody's going to trade back, Jacob?
So the reason I highlighted William D. Lofton Sr.'s comment is because directly after that, John Johnson said, do you guys think Goody trades up? And that's exactly like that. That's exactly the point is this draft. Nobody freaking knows, man. To Mr. William D. Lofton Sr., do you guys have a feeling that he trades back? Like Clayton just said, I hope he does, just because of me sitting here with in my ivory tower being like, I've done 300 mocks today, and this mock says that this guy's going to be here at this point. It's like, nah, that's not how it works. But on paper, I would love if we traded back. You know what I mean? And if we could get a person that maybe we didn't think was plausibly available at that point, then obviously, yeah. And actually, I was going to just highlight Coach Len's comment, which you guys did for me there, is I'm really starting to visualize Luther Burden in this offense. Would be over the moon with that pick at 23. If you listen to to Ryan's podcast this morning when he highlighted the wide receivers, it is actually kind of interesting that Luther Burden has somehow fell into like maybe being a top 5 guy, where in any other sort of like narrative, when you look at him, he's got the 40 time. He's like the third best 40 time. He's got the body size. He's like the third best body size. He's not short. He's like almost right there at 6 foot. He's got the route tree. He's got the production. He's got the school size. He's got all that kind of stuff. And somehow we've kind of all let him slip on us. And it's because I think that Ryan said, he's like, well, he's a slot. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if Ryan said that he's a slot, but I think that he was more predominantly labeled as a slot, I should say. But I think that he could be that one of like a guy that if you had to put him out on the edge or the boundary, I should say, and maybe make him play as Z receiver, he could do it. What do you guys think about the fact that Luther Burden has seemingly fell in this draft?
Yeah, Tim, we've got Luther Burden in the 28 spot. I wouldn't hate that at 23. That tells me that Goody's probably got a better grade on him or the same grade as Emeka Egbuka. Luther Burden, as they refer to as LB3, he's one of those dudes that coming out of college, man, hearing his coaches and his teammates talk about him, it's kind of like Egbuka. He's a damn leader, you know. But I don't know. What do you think, Tim? Would you be okay with Luther Burden at 23?
Yeah, I would. You know, again, not my first choice, but going based on our board and the research we've done, and to Jacob's point too, you know, you build your board and, you know, some people move guys around a lot. Some people stick with their initial assessment. You know, you always bring up the point that it's funny how guys rise and fall, despite the fact that there's been no football played for a very long time recently. So, you know, I would not be disappointed with a guy like Luther Burden. He wouldn't be my first choice, but at 23, if you're going to go wide receiver, you know, you can't go wrong there. But, you know, to that point, I think, you know, whether we trade up or down, like we were discussing before, we may not know that until, you know, we've seen 15 or 16, 17 picks fly off the board. And then we kind of see how it's unfolding. Maybe Goody does go back. I think it's probably slightly more likely that he trades back than trades up. But of course, now that I've said that, he'll probably make me look stupid and, you know, package Jair and, you know, some other picks and try and move up. But my gut's telling me Goody wants more picks rather than less in this draft. And I think a trade back is probably slightly more likely. Yeah, I think sticking and picking at 23 is just as likely too. So, you know,
STM40 says Burden has character concerns, allegedly. What do you do? Fart on the school bus in the 6th grade? Is that what happened now? Like, it just cracks me up how these
allegedly.
Allegedly.
How dare you?
It's just, it is absolutely wild how this stuff just automatically pops up right before the draft where it's, you know, anyway, don't get me started. All right, let's move on to pick. Actually, there was another question in there I wanted to hit. Let me hit this one real quick. I thought this was good. Shambo from Idaho says, hey, Clayton, Goody, Tyleek Williams, Jahdae Barron, and Emeka Egbuka are all on the board at 23. Who would you draft? Jahdae Barron, hands down. It'd be Jahdae Barron, then Emeka Egbuka, then Tyleek Williams. Actually, it'd probably be Jahdae Barron, Emeka Egbuka, then trade back would be me. My pick there. But how would you guys answer that? Tyleek Williams, I like Tyleek Williams. I think he's a solid prospect. I just think 23 is, of course, that would be the Goody pick, right? Someone would think, okay, he's probably another round or two down, or not another round or two, but another tier or two down, and all of a sudden Goody.
That'd be a good pickup with a trade back, right? Go from 23 to 28 or 29 and then snag Tyleek Williams. I could see that, but I'm with you, Clay. I like Jahdae Barron right out of the gate. And then Egbuka would be my second pick.
Yeah. And we got Tyleek Williams in the 35 spot. I imagine yours is probably Jahdae Barron too, right, Jacob?
Yeah, I don't want to be boring, but yeah, exactly. It'd be Jahdae and then Egbuka and Tyleek.
All right. Let's go on to round 2, second round pick 54. TJ Sanders is in the 39 spot on our big board. His PFF grades 59.2, 57.4, 72.5, 82.4.
Look at that coverage grade, though. I don't know.
Yeah, 60.6. Oh, man, it's 6'4", 290 out there trying to cover the slot, right? I love watching his tape, man. His tape is phenomenal. TJ Sanders is a fun one for me. So again, with him sitting in the 39 spot, if somehow, some way he fell all the way to 54, run the damn card. I don't think he's going to be around for that. I've seen some mocks that suggest that he may slide into the first round. That seemed crazy to me, but when you turn on the tape, man, it's pretty solid there. So, who would your all's top choice be for pick 54? Meaning, like, This is the dude. I think he's going to be within reach. That's my guy. Who would it be? We'll start with you this time, Tim. 54. And
Jaden
why is
Higgins.
it Jaden Higgins?
I was gonna say, what are you doing?
I'm Jaden Higgins, but I guess I should come up with another name. Trey Amos.
All right. I
Possibly.
like it. Which, by the way, there's a picture of Trey Amos. I'm going to go try to find it real quick. It goes hard in the mother blanking paint. All right. I'm going to find it. Jacob, who is your guy? And I'm going to try to find this.
The only reason I'll push back on Tim's Amos is because I feel like that we've now talked him up. Not we, but the the overall kind of draft buzz has kind of propelled him to be more of a possible first round. Oh, Daryl with the hot takes as always. It's one of the first rounds, like he could sneak in the first round. He could. And I think that he'd be more of an early second to mid second with the Amos thing there. And same with Jaden Higgins, man. I really do feel like we like him for a reason, dude. And these people are now starting to see, like, I'm starting to see the draft shuffle a little bit, and guys that we thought were, definite second rounders that you'd be like, for sure we can grab him in the second or third, are now creeping up into that late first scenario. I mean, it's going to be a little bit interesting. And that's honestly what I love about this draft, because in years prior, we've known, like, God, this guy's going here, this guy's going there. At this point, after pick one, I don't think anybody that's honest with you is going to tell you they know exactly what's going to happen. I really don't.
So here's that picture. Look at this. The South Carolina Gamecock over here, if you could see, in the hedges. With Trey Amos walking off going, shh. Look at the reaction in the crowd.
Dude, look at the background. Look at
this poor guy right here. He's like, why am I even at this game? Why am I here right now?
Look at the cop over there. He's like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah.
Do I need to fill out a police report on this? I came across that earlier. I thought it was Trey Harris originally, because they both wore number 9 at Ole Miss. But it was actually Trey Amos. I just had to share that. I thought that was absolutely awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, he's a dog, and who knows, he may be on the short list here. Let's see real quick as we continue on. Next, 46 spot, Trey Amos. All right, PFF grades 56.9, 77.2, 71.5, 76.9, and an 85.6.
That's a good player.
Yeah, he's solid, man. He's and what's crazy is he played in a very, very versatile defense as well. Some of these guys, you just see a lot of man coverage. He played in a zone heavy, if I remember correctly, coverage down there in Ole Miss, or defense in Ole Miss. And the reason that's important is because, like, people like Savone Rebel, which I'm big on Savone Rebel. If he's healthy, that's great that you got a man coverage corner. You teach him zone, but it's not just like, okay, they're just going to pick up zone and run with it. They got to learn route concepts. You got to know if and then, things that we talk about when it comes to zone match, meaning if the number 2 runs a corner, then I break to the outside leverage, right? If the number 2 runs a post, I've got to slam down on the dig out of the 1, things like that. So the fact that Trey Amos already has that kind of experience I think it's absolutely huge. I really do. So Trey Amos is definitely one on my short list there as well. So
John Johnson's asking what's his 40 time. Wasn't it right? Wasn't he a 4.4 guy, Tim?
I think it was a 4.53, but I could be wrong.
I'm trying to find the.
I'm thinking Trey Harris was a 4.53, maybe 4.
It could have been. Yeah, could have been.
Yeah.
Trey Amos. Let's see.
Yeah, I'll look on
Put a
that.
pin in that. I'll let you know in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to Trey Amos on our big board, if I can find him here, I know you're in this area, sir. Where are you? Trey Amos on the big board. He meets the athletic threshold. He was a captain. The Packers met with him at the Senior Bowl. They also had him in for a top 30 visit. His RAS was an 8+. That checks the box. Greg Cosell absolutely loved him. So
yeah, they had him as a 4.43.
Oh, yep. Okay, you're good. Yeah, good deal.
Let's go.
Next on the list that I would be okay with at 54 would be wide receiver Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. PFF grades 59.8, 78.2, 85.0, 90.3. Obviously coming in at 6'4", 215 according to PFF. The other thing that people overlook about Jaden Higgins is the slot snaps at 222. You know, it's not just me defending these other receivers that play predominantly in the slot but still have 1 to 300 snaps outside. It's also for these big guys. Like that proves he can kick inside and play that slot bully, be that big slot guy as well. So Jaden Higgins is definitely one that between him and Trey Harris, that's the tough question for me, man. Tough question.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about
Higgins has a 9.63 RAS score.
Yeah.
So he certainly fits the
the
Goody threshold.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you guys
looks on the splits, and his 40 time was, decent, 4.4, right? So, I don't need to tell you guys anything more about Jaden Higgins than I've already mentioned, so I'm done.
I will say, if you listen to Ryan's, I believe it's his recent podcast. If it's not, it's the one before where he breaks down the wide receivers. And he actually kind of pushed me into the nudge of Luther Burden, because he goes, it was Jaden Higgins, T-Mac, Luther Burden, and Trey Harris. And Trey Harris was, from what I understand from what his podcast was, he's kind of got the boost over Jaden. And it's very close, but they're just kind of a little bit different. And he talks very much about how, like, what I thought with Higgins is he's so smooth. He's just very, very, him and T-Mac are very smooth within and in and out of their routes. And it's almost effortless. And more of like Harris is like very gifted, a little more multifaceted, I would maybe argue. And then I was surprised at the fact he didn't really like Jalen Knoll as much as we do. I don't want to put words in your guys' mouth, but like guys like that. So I am starting to see guys like Trey Harris, Jaden, and Burden rising up. And a lot of the guys that maybe thought about what could be like first or second round steals kind of falling back a little bit. And Trey Harris, though, this guy just keeps creeping up and up and up on my board. I don't know what you guys think, but I'd be pumped if we got him anywhere in this draft.
Yeah, the PFF grades 67, 77, 77, 88, 89. He's gotten better every year. Played at a smaller school, obviously, in those first 3 years, and then just dominated when he got to Ole Miss, playing in the SEC as well. I want to say there was a stat I heard from the 33rd team earlier today that there was only one player, or it said here's a list of the wide receivers that had over 1,000 yards receiving on this many snaps, and it was far fewer snaps than most. And it said Trey Harris. He was the only dude on the list. So it kind of reminded me of, I think it was Jameson Williams that was coming out of was it Bama, maybe Bama or Georgia, wherever he came from, that went to Detroit. It's the same type of thing. Like, he did something that nobody else had done in the SEC, right? He just like dominated the SEC, and lo and behold, he flashes when he gets to Detroit. So that's the first thing that popped in my mind when I seen that 33rd team comment there earlier today, for sure. So let's see here. What else we got?
Daryl's got a great chat. He says, so you guys been looking at the PFF stats most of the time? So exhausting.
Yeah, let me take this one. Just a second, Jacob. I don't mean to cut you off, but Daryl also said all these names I've been hearing about getting old really effing fast. All right, cool. And then earlier we had another one, Mark, where he said something about Walter Nolan would doom the franchise. Daryl, bub, why are you watching? There's obviously better content out there. There's obviously better conversations out there that you can go join those conversations than to disagree with every damn thing we cover. You want to know why we're covering the same names? Because they're in that ballpark of where the Packers are picking.
Look, building a board. That's what you're doing.
It's also called, look in the upper right. It's Packers total access, right? Like, we're going to talk about the things that are probably going to fall into place for the Packers this draft, man. You're making it really difficult for me. Now, I'm just going to be 100% transparent. I think I'm the only person that's saying, let's just let him hang around. Like, it's getting to the point where, for someone who loves the green as much as you do, you're a hell of a buzzkill, bub. I don't know what else to say. I'm just going to leave it at that. So just, only thing I know to do is, what do I do? Ban you from the show? Like, man, quit being miserable. There's people in the chat that's dealing with real world things right now, and you're in here trying to bring the chat down. Just, I'm sorry, man. Anyway, Shambo says, gentlemen, from 1 to 10, how excited are you about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? I'm
50.
fired up about Thursday.
50.
Yeah. Thursday's going to be absolutely awesome. Just because that's what sets the tone for the entire weekend, right? And Daryl, newsflash, but I hate it for you, but you're going to hear names called on Thursday night that you've heard us talk about on this show. It's probably going to make you mad. I don't know what to say. So, no, it's Thursday night.
And we're not trying to tell people don't have an opposing opinion. That's not – we want that. It's just if every day, every single day, you just got nothing but negative crap to say, it's like, why – you know, pick a new flavor. If you're licking ice cream you don't like, brother, quit licking it, you know?
Put that on the ticker. All right. So anyway, Friday I'm more excited about, Tim, than Thursday, though. You know, Thursday's going to be awesome. It's the excitement building up. We're going to be at the draft all day hanging out, then going back doing the live stream. I'm just as excited for the live stream and hanging out with everybody here in the chat as I am actually being at the draft in Green Bay, to be honest with you. But Friday is that where we keep talking about, hey, man, you trade back, you kind of stay in that sweet spot, get multiple picks. We should get at least 2 picks on Friday, which is going to be a blast doing the second, third round there, man. What do you think, man? Which one are you most excited about?
I would agree. You know, the meat and potatoes of this draft is going to happen on Friday for sure. I think especially from our perspective, but Thursday is going to be great, man. Like we talked about, once in a lifetime experience. You know, the kickoff to the draft. It's just going to be amazing. And Green Bay's ready, you know, and so am I. I'm fired up. But I would say Friday. I'd have to agree with you, Clay.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Willen Al Swiderski says, we're all goons in the chat. Best to ignore us. Nah, you ain't no goon, dude. We got the chat.
Honestly, the chat is the best part of this whole thing. That's what's brought this to the forefront. Anytime we get a little bit frustrated, it's not because, you know, we're hating or anything like that. It's just that you got to look at it from our perspective. Sometimes it's just a little much.
Look at the chat and look at the conversations that are going on. Like, I really don't even have to put an itinerary, a schedule together, a plan together for the show because of the people in the chat. The conversations are better than the topics that I have. Awesome. Yeah. But there's always 1 or 2 turds in the damn punch bowl that just get in here and they act freaking miserable, man. And I can't take it. Like it drives me insane. And again, it ruins the show by even bringing it up, but I'm trying to give people a chance. I'm trying to go, hey, come on, dude. Now look at everybody's responses to you in the chat. This ain't Willen talking about someone else, obviously, but look at everybody's responses to you in the chat. Like, sooner or later, you got to step up and go, I know I'm the smartest person on the face of the earth, but maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I'm bringing this down a touch. Just saying. Thank you for the super chat there, Willen. And there's no
Daryl says, I know people have their own opinions. That's cool. So if you truly mean that, then stop tearing into everybody's opinion. That's different than yours. If it's truly cool.
Exactly. Anyway, Chuck says, if any of these 3 are available at 54, run the damn card. Completely agree. And that's the list I tried to put together, Chuck, here. And we'll do pick 87 next. But, yeah, Trey Harris or Jaden Higgins, sign me up. Again, Trey Amos, same thing. I think Trey Amos will probably be gone before we pick. The 2 receivers may be gone before we pick. And TJ Sanders, there's a good chance he'll be gone. So these are – now when you get into round 3 and pick 87, I tried to approach it like, okay, let's grab a couple before and a couple after that should actually be there. But here's the list. Number 63, edge defender Jordan Birch out of Oregon. 6'6", 295 is the listed size here. 61, 68, 72, 73, and 77 are his PFF grades. All right. Obviously, he's gotten better pretty much every single year, right? You get that kind of frame, too. You might be able to kick him inside in a pinch. You may put together a NASCAR package, throw him in a 4-eye, and let him eat from the inside out, that type of thing. Jordan Birch is one that the Packers, I think, met with too, top 30 visit, right? So they've obviously got a close eye on him. It seems like he stayed pretty healthy. As you can see, he's got rankings across all 5 years in college, which means he had enough snaps to qualify in terms of the minimum snap. Tim, do you have a guy here at 87 that really sticks out to you where you say, that's my dude at 87? Probably got several, I would imagine. But.
Yeah, I've got to pick one, huh? That's tough. Although I did watch some Jordan Birch tape the other day, and he does look quite nice. If you're trying to grab an edge here, and I think you could do a lot worse than Mr. Birch. But I don't know. I think guys like CJ West, is a name that comes to mind. Even a guy like we talked about Trey Harris, possibly falling, rising or falling, given how the day goes. It could be a guy like Jalen Milroe, for all we know. I don't put it past Goody to
get us
a quarter. I'm just saying,
don't get us canceled in here.
But really, to be serious about the question, it would probably be a guy like Charles Grant or like maybe a Jordan Phillips or somebody.
Yeah. What do you think, Jacob? You got one at 87 that really pops to you, man?
Yeah, actually,
it's not named Thor.
don't. 87. You said not 387.
Right.
87. Okay. I would have to say either like a Wyatt Malum or an Ozzie Trapillo. Kind of like a weird spot where we find that offensive line help, where people want us to go flashy with the first and the second pick. A lot of people are talking about Charles Grant. I really love Charles Grant as well. But I could see that being like, if we have to go need versus best on the table, like if we go cornerback first and then we go, let's say D line in some capacity after that, I think that third round sounds about right for us to go maybe offensive line in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. So next on the list here, and actually we had a question. Drew D said, did you guys talk about JT from Ohio State? Does he fit our measurables? So with JT, I chose in my short list, I was trying to decide there. Gray Zabel was a little too high. JT was a little bit higher than where we started there. Actually, TJ Sanders was higher than JT, but we've got him in the 44 spot, JT. He does meet the athletic threshold, at least what he's measured at, and he was a team captain as well. He was not a Senior Bowl participant, and, like I said, 8 of the 11 picks last year participated in the Senior Bowl, so he could be one of those 3 or 2 or however many Goody goes with this year, right? But I think JT Tuimoloau is an interesting prospect. I would be, if he's the pick at 54, heck yeah, sign me up, man, no problem. So I just wanted to hit that real quick. Good to see you in here, Drew. Appreciate you swinging through, buddy. Let's see here. There was something else. No, I think we're good. All right, so next on the list, Jack Besh. We'll rattle through these real quick, and then we'll move on to hour 2. Jack Besh, he's one, obviously balled out at the Senior Bowl, has all the everything checked across the board in terms of our draft board. 74.7, and it looks like he didn't meet the minimum snap requirements there in 22 and 23. And then in 2024, all of a sudden he jumps up healthy, 3rd overall graded wide receiver in the entire, all of college football at 83.0. He's another guy too, mostly outside, 512 snaps outside, but 160 in the slot. You guys mentioned Charles Grant. Here's Charles Grant on the list, 78 on the PTA big board, 59, 67, 78, 76, 91. Obviously run blocking grade of 90.4, pass blocking grade of 88.1 last year. That's a guy I would be totally on board with there at pick 87 as well. This next one, a little bit closer to 87, and that's Danny Stutzman. I know linebacker is not like this huge need that we have, right? People aren't looking at linebacker like, oh man, we gotta go get that guy, or we gotta go get that position filled. However, this dude is a run stuffing machine, and I'm trying to stay one or two steps ahead, I expect the defense to take a step back this year. And I know people are going to hate to hear that. But historically speaking, when someone takes over as a defensive coordinator, they typically, if they're a good DC, they'll have a good year, then they take a step back, and then they typically jump back up and stabilize, right? Well, when you look at how this defense played last year, what did we do? We stopped the run, right? How did we stop the run? We showed it all year long on Chalk Talk. The defensive line were not pinning their ears back and trying to get to the quarterback every single snap. It wasn't like they were just, all right, we hell or high water, we got to get to the QB. They were playing the run to the pass, to the quarterback essentially. So what if we change that up this year and go, all right, we're going to turn the front 4 loose this year and really let them go after the quarterback? You go and get a linebacker like a Danny Stutzman that can play that third linebacker role in a base 4-3. Now you kind of help stabilize that run defense in that second level of the defense. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just what I think about with Danny Stutzman, because listen, coverage is not his strength, 46.3. Run defense grade, 90.9. He was just an absolute tackling fool. And they say he is a spark plug, a dude that brings the energy he's just one of those guys in the locker room that you really you want to kind of go to battle with. So.
Do you know what I remember reading about him is one of the highlights of a prospect or a scout that evaluated him. They said the guy, if you need a down the throat, run it down your face, I would call it a human meat missile type prospect. They said Danny Stutzman is your guy. He goes, he sees point A, point B, and there's nothing that's going to stop him from getting in between that. And I'm like, okay, all right. You got the flow too. Let's go, Danny. Come on.
Nice guy to put behind Zay McDuffie for his rookie season.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
No, have him and Tyron Hopper and those guys. I mean, again, that would round out that linebacker room really, really nice for sure. Ron Sample with the super chat. Thank you, Ron. He says, "Have you guys nailed down your show schedule for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?" We pretty much have. So, in terms of the show schedule, we're going to go live 30 minutes before the draft starts on Thursday night and Friday night. Okay, so we'll be doing a live stream, first round and the second and third round. As of right now, our plan is to hang out at the draft on day 3 on Saturday, right? And then come back maybe before it's over and do a live show kind of what I'd like to do is a recap show Saturday night of, all right, here's all the picks. Here's kind of how we feel about it, instant reaction. And then when we get back into town, I'll start putting chalk talks together with those prospects and we'll have those available for you guys as well. So our plan is live stream Thursday, live stream Friday, and then Saturday, we'll probably hang out at the draft. But who knows? If we're over there, Tim, and we've been there most of the day, and it's like, you know what? We've seen everything. We've done everything. Let's go back and go live for day 3. We may do that too, So
yeah, I mean, with the picks rolling in earlier too, it may be a little bit of both. You never know, right? We may enjoy that day and then break away early, get back to the mobile studio and wrap up the draft. You never know.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there you go. Appreciate it, Ron. Thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. And Shambo, thank you for the kind words, man. I've seen that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely appreciate you, man. Holmes MD1, leave the gun, take the canola. I got to be honest, boys. I'm a little disappointed. Matter of fact, this is a teaser right here.
Uh-oh.
For those of you listening on the pod, I'm going to tell you why I'm disappointed in hour 2. All right. So
For those of
we
you
appreciate
listening
y'all.
on the pod,
We'll see you on hour 2. We appreciate you. Give me one more, Tim.
Toss them in a dumpster.
Hey, that'll work. We're coming to hour 2.
Come on, man.
All right. So anyway, this is what I'm disappointed about. People are going to go, man, what's Clayton disappointed? He's going to rant on something, right? Cannolis. Listen to me on the cannoli shit for a second. I can't find a cannoli.
I'm gone. I'm gone.
I can't find a cannoli in Green Bay. I've checked all the local bakers and this and that. Nobody makes cannoli. Now, listen, it's not.
Thank you.
It's not an Italian heavy culture up there, right, Tim? Like there's a lot of different cultures come through and settle that area. We did a history segment on that one show.
They have a lot of strudels.
They what?
A lot of strudels.
Oh God! All right, so here we go. So we got, what do we got, Tim? Mostly German, right? Germanic, and then I'm trying to think of some of the other.
A lot of great Mexican bakeries here too, especially on the east side of town, man.
Or do they got that fried? Do they got that fried ice cream or the fried cheesecake and put the ice cream on it?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So we'll do all right, Clayton. We'll make it happen. We'll get your sweets fix in.
Yeah, we've got a place to get them. I'm just disappointed, man. I'm like, the heck, what's going on here? Why can't I get a cannoli in this town? I'm in East Tennessee getting.
You guys
cannoli.
made fun of me when I said I've never heard of a cannoli. It's because I live in Wisconsin, brother. What do you want me to do?
I will say this: if I had to choose between beer cheese and cannolis for the rest of my life, I'm choosing beer cheese. No question about it. Mike Hebring says, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, I can get a cannoli in West Bend and Brigham. Somebody said there was one in another town that's close by as well where you can get cannolis. Mandy found a place we're going to get them from. It'll be fine. I appreciate you offering, Mike. I'm looking forward to meeting you at the draft, though, Mike. It's going to be a blast, man. Angelina, H.E. Solder, reached out. They don't have cannolis. Not on the menu. I was like, how is your name Angelina and you don't have cannolis? This is fraudulent. You want to talk about rigged.
Hey, we may have to just go up there and give Paulie his tribute, and and they'll take care of it for us,
Yeah, no.
I'll say, I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Give me the gabagool, the cannolis off the menu. You know what I mean?
Like, why do y'all let this guy run this joint if he ain't got cannolis? Tim, did you hit it at the same time? We hit it at the same time. I love it. All right, anyway, let's get off this topic here. We wasted enough time. I'm sure we lost actually, we picked up viewers. I don't know why. There must not be anything on the tube tonight on Easter. So
Heard it from a fan right here.
But again, those are just guys in that article that we just covered. That's a handful of guys I like at each pick, right? Like these are kind of at the top of my list. Like, man, that would be awesome if they fell in the right spot. Now, if somebody higher than them falls, I'd be on board with that too. So let's do this. Let's move along now to, I want to hit this real quick.